And welcome back. Well, as we prepare to gather with loved ones and share memories, have you thought about leaving a legacy? Dan Krause is just one of eight estate planning specialists in Wisconsin. He helps people protect their assets and leave a legacy. Good to see you, Dan.
It's great to be here, Tiffany. Thanks.
I know. Good to have you. I mean, this is a time we do think about when we get together with family, you know, the memories that we have, a family, you know, all those kinds of things. What do we do with those sorts of memories that we leave behind?
So we remember to have fun with the people that we have, and we also sometimes remember the people that are gone. So what do? We try to make the memories of ourselves and the people around us the best that we can. And one way to leave good memories is to not leave a mess. So if life is a party and you're partying with people and then you just pull everything out of the cupboard, throw it all on the floor, break a couple of things and then leave, you know, people will remember the party, they will remember the good parts, but then there'll be that little bad taste at the end because you left a mess for them to clean up. So it's similar to estate planning. If you put your affairs in order, you don't leave a mess, you leave things in order, and people don't have that little bit of maybe bad taste afterwards.
It's hard to do. I've lost my father, and I know it was it was something. He didn't have things in order. There was a bit of a mess, and it was difficult within the family at times. In a family that you don't think would have any difficulties, there can still be difficulties. So I think when there's valuables too, people want to make sure that things that they value are passed on correctly. So how do you actually pass on your values and make sure everything that you want and are doing is done the way you hope it will be?
So values are things that are maybe not like money or possessions, and you can enforce your values, let's say, on people. You want to make, let's say, if education is a great value for you. You can leave a legacy by saying, if you get an education, you get your money maybe sooner. Or if you have a 4-year degree, you can have a percentage or two more of the estate.
Cool.
Things like that. You can put conditions on the way that people get their inheritance.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Another great way, though, doesn't have anything to do with the legal estate planning, but leaving a letter along with your will or your trust. Just write out the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
Leave a story or stories, because people have said that after a loved one dies, the things that are most important to them are the stories, not necessarily the money or the property that they get.
I agree. I think that's the only way we live on in many senses, you know. The rest of it kind of doesn't matter as much, but you've got to figure it out. So when some people are not particularly close with their family, how do you deal with that?
So if somebody's not particularly close with their family, they might think, I don't care if I leave a mess, but you also maybe don't want those people who would normally get the stuff that you're going to leave behind. Maybe you want a charity to receive that instead of your not so favorite relative, or you want one relative to get it and not others. You have to do planning for that. Otherwise, the state's plan is going to take over, and generally your closest relatives, whether or not you like them, are going to get everything.
So is that a real word, to disinherit someone?
Yes.
Really? Is that a legal term?
It is.
Oh!
It is. Disinheriting is just saying that they don't get anything. And in fact, one of the taglines that I've used in advertising before is disinherit that special someone. It's just to let them know how you feel about them.
Yeah, I mean, that really leaves a little punch at the end, right? It's kind of like, hey, here's where it was in life, and this is how it's going to be in death. You know, I think all this stuff is so important. With you, like when somebody comes and meets with you, how do you get to the bottom of all these? Do you have like a questionnaire that people go through, or do you just sit and talk? Because I think a lot of these things are things that, A, we don't know all the little things, but B, sometimes you haven't thought about them before.
Exactly. So we have a process where we get some just demographic information. Who are you? Are you married? Do you have kids? And then something about your assets. But then when you sit down to meet, we go in deeper. And what are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to pass on? How do you want to live on past your death? People have a hard time sometimes talking about death. In fact, some people have such a phobia about it that they just can't do planning. And sometimes we can get over that by saying, instead of when you die, we'll say when you get on the bus, or you can come up with your own euphemism.
They use
But-
sunset a lot.
Yeah.
In your sunset, you
Yep,
know.
exactly. So that you don't have to make that really hard cognitive connection with you not being here.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for some people.
It is. I think I think truthfully for me, working on this show has helped, because conversations with you and other people have helped me talk to my mom about it in a time when nobody's sick, when there's no impending fear. And I think that's a really good time, is to do it early and have those conversations. What are you looking forward for Thanksgiving this year, Dan?
Well, I like the apple pie. My mom makes the best apple pie, but if she's not going to make apple pie, it's always the pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
That's what I look forward to.
Good for you. Good to have you here, Dan.